Well, good morning to you and welcome to Still Up with 6 on this Wednesday morning. Certainly a lot has changed since just yesterday when we checked in with you here locally and across the nation as well. We are going to dive into everything and answer your questions at home. That's really what we're here for right now, is to answer the things that we can answer, the things that we've been covering, and try to get you some relief, some answers to the questions that you have.
And if we don't know the answer to your question, we're actually having a special at 5 p.m. on Thursday and Friday. So tomorrow and Friday, a doctor will be in studio at 5 p.m. answering all the questions that you may have. So if there's a question in here that we don't know the answer to, we will make sure that the doctor does get it for our segment on Friday, or Thursday and Friday, excuse me.
Yeah, and good morning to you, Gerardo, and good morning to you, Christopher. Let's dive right into it. Since we talked with you yesterday, the city of Waco now under a local state of disaster. So what does this mean? Well, all restaurants, bars, and theaters are now closed.
Yeah, and that includes gyms as well. So if you like to work out, your gym is going to be closed in the city of Waco until further notice. They're saying, I guess at this point, we're just going to play it by ear is what the whole country is really doing. They're saying it's going to last a week, but I do think that will get extended as we see more and more numbers in the coronavirus. Speaking of numbers, just from last night to this morning, we've had a second death here in the state of Texas. That's up in Tarrant County.
And a third case of the coronavirus was confirmed in Bell County. Good morning to you, Marcia from Colleen. We know a lot of you have questions, so let's get right into it. One of the big pressing questions on everyone's minds, certainly with people who are now out of work because of the coronavirus and the shutdowns, how will I pay my bills? Well, right now, some answers are coming, we hope, today. There's a vote going on in the Senate.
Yeah, there is a $1 trillion package on the table that President Trump and the task force have come and put together. Of course, Vice President Mike Pence is leading that task force right now for the coronavirus outbreak, and the vote's expected today. We've been asking you guys all morning long who you think should get some money, and I think the majority of people who voted this morning all agreed. There's the numbers. It should go to all Americans.
And some questions already coming in, some good ones. Christopher Ramos says, what does that mean for churches? I believe, Christopher, because of there should be no more, what was that with the number, I think 10, no gathering, private or public gatherings of more than 10 people. A lot of churches I know have now turned to having virtual services so you can stream it online. But right now you cannot gather in person in churches.
Yeah, so that's a very good question. But if you do want your service, they are being streamed online. So if you have access to that, you can still, of course, practice Sunday service.
Reed Tim says, it's my understanding that the Killeen ISD is disinfecting all of their schools. Is this correct? I believe that was something maybe mentioned yesterday in the press conference with Superintendent John Kraft. They said their preliminary plan as of right now is to try to get back to school on Monday. Of course, they won't penalize parents who don't feel comfortable sending their kids back. A lot of parents think that's a little bit too soon, but of course some disinfecting is going on.
Yeah, some disinfecting is going on. So for all the parents out there who have kids at Killeen ISD, you don't have to send your kid. They're saying it's not mandatory, but as of right now, as of yesterday, the last thing we heard from Killeen ISD is that they do plan to open their doors come Monday. But of course that could change, and a final decision is expected come Friday. So we will keep you informed on when the final decision is made. A lot of parents are saying, you know, yay, thank you for opening school. We need this. And a lot of other parents are simply saying it's too soon.
Yeah, so listen, this is a very fluid situation. I wouldn't be surprised that if more counties follow in the footsteps of what the city of Waco has done with shutting down bars, restaurants, gyms, and theaters. Now, we do want to remind you that delivery, drive-through, and pickup options are still available. There's just no dine-in at restaurants. It's very important to support our local restaurants with still ordering food from them. A lot of these restaurants, that's the way they're going to have to make ends meet.
Yeah, and a lot of them are now using services like Waiter, Favor, DoorDash in order to accommodate the closures of their dining room areas.
And this is a comment that says, even if you clean the school, that doesn't mean staff or kids will bring it in on Monday. I think there definitely has been a lot of backlash after the press conference yesterday, people thinking that maybe it's too soon. But they said that that's the plan right now. A final decision on an official reopening day will be made later this week. So we'll keep our ears out for that. But right now, that is the plan.
Yeah, I think that this is something that, you know, I think you're going to see changes every single day. You're going to see more numbers of cases come up every single day. All 50 states now have confirmed cases of the coronavirus. This is a changing world. This is a changing situation, and I think decisions are going to be made based off what's happening that day.
Yeah, there's also been a lot of misinformation being spread online. I know we talk about this every single morning, but I think it's so important. So many questions that you guys have sent me to get verified, and keep those questions coming. You can even leave them in the comments. All the ways to reach me right there on your screen. We just talked about one today, a viral text making the rounds claiming that the president was going to call into the Stafford Act, making a mandatory national quarantine for 2 weeks. We verified that's not true. The Stafford Act is something that's already actually been called into place when he declared a national state of emergency. But so far, no evidence that a mandatory 2-week national quarantine is going to take effect.
And of course, we just showed you the information on where you can send your verified questions. I know, Chris, you're working around the clock to make sure people are not sharing any misinformation, and a lot of it is circulating online. So be sure to send your questions to Chris if you're seeing something pop up on social media that you're not too sure of.
Yeah, there's no such thing as a bad question as we navigate this thing together. I've gotten so many questions because there is so much misinformation spreading right now, and that oftentimes creates this culture of really fear and panic, and we can't be panicking right now.
No.
It's a time to stay calm, but also stay safe.
Yeah, and that's right. And keep up with the facts and not the fear. That is our message here at 6 News. Any other questions? Let's see what's going on here in the comments section. Good morning to you, Norma. Let's see.
I think a lot of you are wondering about the payment that the Senate's going to vote on today.
Oh, yeah.
We were asking you all morning long how you think it should be distributed. The big question, will it be a direct check to Americans? How will that manifest itself? Will it be based on salary? Will it be based on occupation? Will it be just for the people who are hit the hardest? It remains to be seen right now. The president did say a plan would be put into place today, so we'll see how that happens. I know so many of you out there are struggling, wondering where your next paycheck is going to come from. We hope that within the next 2 weeks is what the president did say at the conference yesterday. We don't know whether or not that's the case right now, but that's the hope right now, at least from the White House.
And the president is expected to address everyone a little bit later this morning in regards to some new news from the FDA. So that will be interesting to see what he will say. Governor Greg Abbott's expected to address us as well and give us an update on the numbers, especially after we saw that death yesterday in Tarrant County due to the coronavirus. So I think a lot of moving parts, and we're going to be learning a lot more information today, and of course keep you informed on air and online. And if you have any questions, you can even text us directly, 254-859-5481. If you text the word coronavirus, it actually sends you an automatic link immediately to the very latest article we have on our website that lists the newest numbers, the newest information, as well as when the president and Governor Greg Abbott are expected to speak.
Now, this is also a good way to text us on our Thursday and Friday evening shows, when we'll have a doctor live here in studio answering your questions all evening long. This is the best way to text your questions, and we'll get that directly and be able to answer it in real time.
And here's a really good question. Derek is asking if the malls are shut down. That's a very good question. So far, I believe we haven't gotten any information that they are. But I would anticipate that they will be closing soon, as we're seeing, restaurants, bars, a lot of places being ordered to close. And of course, that is a tight area where people do go, and more than 10 people are there at a time. So I expect malls to be shut down soon. Yeah,
we'll have to wait and see. Of course, we know that it's going to be a tough hit for a lot of you financially. Kayla says, I'm on a fixed income. I have $14. I could use some help. Kayla, we'll try to get you a link to some of the resources available right now, certainly at least for you to get food options if you're able to do that. I know that you don't have a whole lot of money, and a lot of people don't have a whole lot of money to spare for delivery services, but if that's something you can do, you should do it. It's definitely a good way to get money.
Yeah, and
to get food, excuse me.
And yesterday we talked about Dollar General opening their stores, the first hour being for the elderly. Target now stepping up and doing the same, saying for anybody who needs that time, whether you're elderly or you have other circumstances, they are going to be opening. That first hour is for those certain circumstances, and I think that it's great that they're doing this. I think a lot of times you're seeing people panic, and so many people at the stores and elderly not being able to get the supplies they need to stay safe and to stay up to date on everything going on.
And this is coming from Marion. On the money that is going to be given out, I understand it's going to the working people. What about the ones who are on disability or retirement? Where will this money come from? What about the people who receive SNAP? Will there be people more added to their card? Remains to be seen, Marion. I think that we're going to get more of those answers coming out today. Today's going to be the big day in terms of how that money is going to be distributed. You would hope that the people who are feeling the pinch on disability and retirement would see the benefits of that, but whether or not that remains the case remains remains to be seen, excuse me, when we hear that vote and what the president has to say.
I'd be really interested to see how quickly that money is going to be distributed if it does pass the Senate. So a lot of unanswered questions when it comes to this package that is being proposed by the president, but I do think it's a step in the right direction and hopefully can get Americans the relief that they need during this time.
Marion asks about car dealerships. As far as we know right now, car dealerships are still in business. As we can speak right now, I mean, they're not listed as one of the things in Waco, at least, where restaurants, bars, gyms, and theaters were the ones specifically listed. Local businesses so far have not been shut down. Whether or not people choose to go out and buy a car right now is probably a different matter.
Yeah, my family actually works in the car industry, and they're saying that they're really taking a hit. It's just one of the many examples of businesses taking a hit during this really difficult and scary, confusing time. So I think that that's one of the businesses being impacted for sure.
Absolutely. We know you guys have so many more questions, and we are quite literally working around the clock. Just because we're going to sign off here in a few seconds doesn't mean that we will stop answering your questions at home. Send us messages on Facebook. Send us messages to our email, news@kcntv.com. Text that number that you can get in contact with us. It's so important that you stay in the know, and the way that we're going to try to provide a service during this time of fear is to give you answers and have you armed with the truth.
Yeah, so if you're just joining us, let's go over the latest numbers very quickly before we sign off. If you haven't heard yet, the city of Waco under a local state of disaster. Bars, restaurants, gyms, theaters all banned and expected to close and are closed as of this morning.
But we do want to remind you that there's still drive-through, delivery, and pickup options available for restaurants, and it's a way that you can support your local businesses. Rosie says, good morning. You're doing a great job. Well, thank you, Rosie.
Thank you, Rosie.
We appreciate you joining us here on Still Up with 6, and let's finish up with some of the numbers. So far, 2 deaths we can confirm here in the state of Texas. There are confirmed cases in all 50 states in the United States. 3 cases now in Bell County, 1 confirmed case in Brazos County where a 20-year-old woman has been tested and came back positive.
Yeah, so that's all the latest information on the coronavirus, but of course we'll have much more coverage at 5, 6, and 10 p.m. tonight on your television screens on 6 News, and of course tomorrow morning we will keep you updated on the latest numbers, latest information, and we will continue the conversation with you guys here on Still Up with 6 tomorrow morning.
For right now, we're going to say goodbye, but stay safe, stay put if you can. Take care of your family members, your loved ones, and let us know if there's anything we can do to get you answers at home.